Why you feel worse after doing everything right. Most burnout recovery fails for one simple reason. Not because people don't rest enough. Not because they don't try hard enough. And not because they lack discipline or motivation. It fails because recovery is treated as a pause, while burnout is a system shift. That difference is rarely explained. And it changes everything. Burnout is usually framed as exhaustion. A drained battery. A temporary overload. So the solution seems obvious. Stop. Rest. Recover. Then return to normal. It sounds reasonable. It sounds humane. And it is incomplete. If burnout were only about energy, rest would reliably work. But many people rest for months. Some for years. And instead of improving, they feel worse. More sensitive. Less resilient. Less able to tolerate stress than before. That is not personal failure. It is a failure of the model. The pause-based model assumes something crucial. It assumes the system underneath is still intact. That once pressure is removed, the body naturally returns to baseline. But burnout does not leave the system unchanged. Burnout alters how the nervous system predicts the world. And prediction matters more than energy. Your nervous system is not designed to feel calm. It is designed to anticipate. It constantly estimates risk, safety, effort, cost. Under long-term stress, those estimates shift. Not temporarily. Structurally. The system learns that effort leads to collapse. That demand is dangerous. That recovery cannot be trusted. Once learned, this does not disappear with rest. This is where recovery narratives break down. Rest reduces input. But it does not automatically update prediction. So the system stays protective. Hypervigilant. Energy conserving. Risk averse. From the outside, this looks like fragility. From the inside, it is coherence. Many people notice something unsettling. The more they slow down, the worse they feel. Anxiety increases. Symptoms intensify. Old emotions surface. This is often labeled regression. Or resistance. Or unresolved trauma, coming up. But there is another explanation. When external pressure drops, internal signals become audible. Not because they are new. Because they were suppressed. In high-demand states, the system dampens noise. It prioritizes output over accuracy. When demand disappears, that suppression relaxes. What appears is not dysfunction. It is backlog. Unprocessed signals. Delayed recalibration. Unfinished adaptation. The system is not breaking. It is catching up. The standard recovery model has no language for this. So people blame themselves. They assume they are doing recovery wrong. That they are too sensitive. Too damaged. Too weak. This belief adds pressure back into the system. And pressure reinforces the same patterns recovery was meant to undo. There is another missing factor. Time. Burnout recovery is often measured in weeks or months. But the adaptations involved developed over years. Prediction systems do not reset on command. They update through repeated evidence. Slowly. Contextually. Relationally. A nervous system that learned collapse under pressure does not relearn safety through absence alone. It needs contradiction. Not reassurance. Not motivation. Not positivity. Contradiction. Small experiences that gently violate threat predictions without overwhelming the system. This is not a technique. It is how learning works. Learning only happens when predictions are slightly wrong. Too right, nothing changes. Too wrong, the system defends itself. The mainstream recovery narrative ignores this. It treats healing as subtraction. Less stress. Less work. Less stimulation. But recalibration requires signal. Not silence. Without that, rest becomes stagnation. And stagnation feels like failure. This explains a common pattern. People rest. They stabilize. They wait. Eventually, they feel stuck. Not exhausted enough to justify rest. Not resilient enough to re-engage. A low-energy equilibrium. This is not laziness. It is conservation. The system protects what it does not trust to replenish. So people push. Or they withdraw completely. Both confirm the same prediction. Engagement equals danger. Burnout recovery fails when it is framed as recovery from something. From work. From stress. From overload. Biologically, recovery is recovery of something. Trust. Predictability. Internal coherence. These are not restored through absence alone. Rest is necessary. But it is not sufficient. When it is treated as sufficient, people become confused by their own biology. They expect relief. They experience discomfort. They assume pathology. In reality, they are witnessing transition. Without a map. This misunderstanding causes secondary damage. Shame. Fear. Hopelessness. Not because recovery is impossible, but because it is misframed. Burnout is not a temporary depletion. It is a long-term adaptive shift. And recovery is not a pause. It is a slow renegotiation of how the system relates to effort, demand, and uncertainty. When this distinction is missed, even well-intended recovery fails. Not quietly. Convincingly. That is why so many people say, I did everything right. And I still feel worse. They did not fail. They followed a model that was never designed for what actually changed. Burnout recovery does not fail because people lack discipline. It fails because the dominant narrative explains the wrong problem. And when the problem is misidentified, every solution looks ineffective. Even when the system is doing exactly what it learned to do.